They said Christmas wasn't happening this year. Money was tight, keeping it low-key. So I spent the day solo. That night, my cousin uploaded a video, packed room, carving a turkey, invite only. Everyone showed up, except me. I kept quiet until Dad texted, "Can you cover the mortgage this month?" I answered, "Ask the family you picked." Then I cut off every payment and sat back as the fallout hit. There are some wounds that cut so deep, they change the very fabric of who you are. For me, that wound was inflicted by the people I loved most, on the one day I thought was sacred, Christmas. I used to believe family was everything, my entire world, until one shocking video ripped open a painful truth that changed everything I thought I knew about them, and about myself. Let me take you back. I was 28, the eldest of three, and grew up in a small Arizona town where family bonds felt like concrete. My parents, Michael and Laura, ingrained in us the sacredness of family traditions. My brother, Josh, is 25, and my sister, Katie, 22. We weren't rich, but Christmas? Christmas was pure magic in our house. Mom would transform our modest home into a winter wonderland. Dad would drive us around to see the lights, hot chocolate in hand. We had silly traditions, matching pajamas, one gift before bed. These memories were the bedrock of my childhood happiness. I was always the driven one, the academic. A scholarship got me into Arizona State for computer science. I worked hard, part-time jobs, determined to make something of myself, but no matter how busy college got, family came first. I was home for every holiday. After graduation, I landed a dream job at Tech Fusion in Seattle. It was an incredible opportunity, even if it meant moving 1,000 miles away. My starting salary was more than both my parents made combined, and I was proud, but I missed home. Then, 3 years ago, everything shifted. Dad, at 54, lost his job at the manufacturing plant he'd worked at for 2 decades. The company downsized, and he struggled to find anything comparable. Mom's part-time department store income wasn't enough to cover the mortgage on the house they'd nearly paid off. When Dad called me, his voice choked with tears, terrified they'd lose our family home. I didn't hesitate. "I'll help," I told him. "Just tell me what you need." And so, my financial support began. First, it was covering a few mortgage payments. Then, utility bills. Soon, I was sending them a steady $2,000 every single month just to keep them afloat. "It's just temporary, princess," Dad would always say, using my childhood nickname. "Until I get back on my feet." I never minded. My career at Tech Fusion was thriving, 2 promotions in 3 years. My salary allowed me to live comfortably in Seattle and support them. Despite the distance, I called them every Sunday without fail. This year, as Christmas approached, those calls grew more frequent. I hadn't been home in 6 months, consumed by a huge project at work. The thought of Christmas with my family, finally unwinding, was what kept me going through endless overtime. "I can't wait to see everyone," I told Mom in early December. "I've been putting aside money all year for gifts." "We've missed you, sweetie," she'd replied. "Katie keeps asking when you're coming home." I spent hours finding the perfect presents. A premium fishing gear set for Dad. A silver locket with pictures of all her kids for Mom. The latest gaming console for Josh, still in his entry-level job. A new laptop for Katie, still in college. I even bought gifts for aunts, uncles, and cousins who would gather on Christmas Day. It was a significant cost, but after a year of financial support and hardly any vacation, I felt I deserved to splurge. I booked my flight for December 23rd, planning 10 full days with the people I loved most. My Seattle apartment felt cold, even with my small artificial tree. It wasn't Mom's elaborate decorations. I pushed myself at work, often staying until 9 or 10 p.m. My boss, Samantha, noticed. "You're really pushing yourself, Brittany," she'd said one evening. "Make sure you enjoy your time off. You've earned it." "I will," I promised. Christmas with family is worth every late night. I dreamt of sledding with my siblings at Pinehurst Hill, just like when we were kids. I imagined helping Mom bake gingerbread, Dad sneaking bites of dough. All of us around the fireplace, opening gifts to the soft hum of carols. This anticipation, this image, was my reward. 2 weeks before my flight, I shipped the carefully wrapped gifts to my parents' house. These are special, I texted Mom, asking her to keep them hidden. Can't wait to see everyone's reaction. That was the last normal conversation we had. The call came on a Wednesday evening, 11 days before Christmas. I'd just gotten home from a grueling 10-hour day. My phone rang with Mom's familiar tone, and I answered with a smile. "Brittany, honey." Her voice was strange, hesitant. "I need to talk to you about Christmas." Something in her tone made me sink onto my couch. "What about it? Is everything okay?" "Well, your father and I have been talking," she continued, her voice oddly distant. "And we think it might be better to skip the big celebration this year. Money's just too tight, and we're feeling overwhelmed." I frowned, confused. "Mom, I've been helping with bills all year, and I'm happy to bring extra for the holidays." This didn't make sense. Christmas was sacred. We'd celebrated even in our leanest years. "It's not just that," she sighed. "We're just going to stay in this year. Nothing special. Maybe it's better if you save your vacation days for another time." My stomach churned. "Mom, I already bought all the gifts. They're on their way, and my flight is booked for next week." "The gifts are too much, Brittany. We can't match that kind of spending, and it makes everyone uncomfortable." My blood ran cold. "I don't expect anything in return. I just want to see everyone. We can do a simple celebration. I'll cook dinner myself." There was muffled conversation, then Dad's voice firm. "Princess, listen. We're just staying in this year. Nothing special. Just a quiet day for your mother and me." "But what about Josh and Katie? And the cousins? We always spend Christmas together." "Everyone understands," he said. "It's just 1 year. We'll do something next summer." I tried everything, offering to book a restaurant, suggesting a shorter visit, even just immediate family. Each suggestion was gently, but firmly, declined. "We're just staying in," became the repeated, hollow mantra. Nothing special this year. By the end of the call, I was deflated. I tried to be understanding. They were under financial stress. I canceled my flight, receiving only future credit, no refund. Another pang of disappointment. I texted my siblings. Josh replied, "Yeah, tough year." Katie didn't respond at all, which was unusual. Over the next few days, I tried to keep a connection. A group video call? Mom said their internet was spotty. A care package with cinnamon roll ingredients? Dad texted they were watching their sugar intake. Each rejection felt stranger, colder. My gifts arrived, according to tracking. "Yes, got them," Mom replied. No excitement. No gratitude. Just confirmation. 3 days before Christmas, Dad texted, "Nothing special happening here. Just staying in. Don't worry about calling. We might turn phones off to relax. Don't worry about calling." A punch to the gut. In 28 years, I had never spent a Christmas without at least speaking to my family. Now, they were actively discouraging contact. As Christmas drew closer, their responses became evasive. Josh stopped replying. Katie was super busy with friends. My parents' messages grew briefer, colder. Despite it all, I kept sending cheerful texts, clinging to hope. Christmas Eve arrived, heavy snow falling in Seattle. In years past, this would be the night for calls, for matching pajamas. This year, my calls went straight to voicemail. I fell asleep, phone clutched in my hand, waiting for a message that never came. Christmas morning. Silence. No excited calls, no cheerful group text. My first Christmas alone. The reality hit me with unexpected force. I checked my phone, empty. "Merry Christmas to me," I whispered to the vacant room. My decorations felt like sad imitations. I made coffee, trying to decide what to do with my 10 days of approved vacation. I'd stupidly declined invitations from friends, still believing my family might change their minds. I called their home phone, their cell phones. All went to voicemail. I left a bright, cheerful message, hiding the ache. "Hi, Mom and Dad. Just wanted to wish you a very Merry Christmas. Hope you're having a peaceful day, like you wanted. I love you both and miss you. The gifts are from me, of course. Hope you like them." My voice sounded fake, even to me. Josh, Katie, no answer. More upbeat voicemails. With communication exhausted, I tried to occupy myself. I put on Christmas music and prepared a small holiday meal for one. "Now we'll add a glaze to the ham," I narrated, my voice echoing in the empty apartment. "Just brown sugar, a bit of mustard, and some spices." I swallowed hard, a lump forming in my throat. By 3 p.m., my meal was ready. I set my small table, lit a candle, even put on a nice sweater. I took a photo, almost posted it, but stopped myself. I didn't want their pity. The food tasted like nothing. I opened my few gifts. A scarf from a coworker, wine from my boss, and a carefully wrapped package from my best friend, Amy, who lived in Boston. I saved Amy's for last. Inside, a beautiful photo frame with a picture of us at college graduation, arms around each other, beaming. The note read, "For your new place. Never forget who's always in your corner. Love you, friend." Tears sprang to my eyes. Amy had invited me to Boston, but last-minute airfare was impossible. I texted her a photo. "Love it. Love you. Merry Christmas." Her reply was instant. "Merry Christmas. How are you holding up alone?" I hesitated, then replied honestly. "It's harder than I expected. No word from family yet." "That's weird," she responded. "Have you checked social media to see if they posted anything?" I hadn't. I'd been avoiding it, not wanting to see others' perfect family gatherings. But Amy's suggestion planted a seed. "I'll check later," I promised, watching Christmas movies now. But I wasn't. The afternoon crawled into evening. Snow-blanketed Seattle. In Arizona, it would be sunny, maybe 50 degrees. I pictured my childhood home, quiet, just my parents reading, watching TV. No decorations, no special meal. I tried calling one more time around 6 p.m. Still no answer. The silence was deafening. By 8 p.m., I ran out of distractions. The character's holiday joy on my laptop felt like a mockery. With nothing left, I finally opened Instagram. I told myself I was just checking on friends. Then it appeared. A notification. "Jackson Williams went live 30 minutes ago." Jackson was my cousin. My thumb hovered. If they truly were having a quiet Christmas, there'd be nothing. I tapped the screen. The video began, and my world collapsed. There was my childhood home, but it was not quiet. The living room was transformed, glowing with elaborate decorations. A massive tree, piled high with brightly wrapped presents. Garlands draped the banister, festive centerpieces everywhere. But it wasn't just the decorations. It was the people. The house was full, brimming with familiar faces. My brother Josh, lounging on the couch in a new sweater, laughing. Katie, cross-legged by the tree, sorting gift tags with younger cousins. My aunts and uncles, wine glasses in hand. And there, in the center of it all, were my parents. Mom, in a beautiful red dress I'd never seen, hair freshly styled. Dad, in a new button-down shirt, carving a massive turkey on the dining room table. Annual Williams Family Christmas Feast. Jackson narrated, panning across the room. "Everyone's here for the big day. Everyone. Except me." I felt physically ill, a wave of nausea rising. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. But I couldn't stop watching. The camera moved to the mantel, displaying elegant Christmas invitations, not cards. Gold script on cream paper, Williams Family Christmas Celebration. Family only. December 25th, 3 p.m. Family only. The words burned into my brain. I watched, a sense of detached horror washing over me, as Jackson's tour showed relative after relative, all gathered in the home where I'd been told nothing special was happening, where Christmas had supposedly been canceled due to tight finances, where I had been explicitly told not to come. The video moved to the gift exchange. I watched my mother open a small jewelry box, gasp in delight, and hold up an expensive-looking diamond pendant. "Michael, it's beautiful," she exclaimed, kissing my father. The same father who'd been accepting $2,000 monthly from me to help with the mortgage. The same mother who'd said they couldn't afford Christmas. I recognized some of the wrapped packages under the tree as the ones I'd sent. They sat unopened in the corner, forgotten. Then came my father's speech. Holding a glass of champagne, another expense they supposedly couldn't afford, he addressed the room. "I want to thank everyone for making it here today," he beamed. Looking around, I see everyone who matters to us. Everyone who makes this family special. Everyone who matters. The words were a knife to my heart. This year hasn't been easy, he continued. But having all of you here makes everything worthwhile. To family. The room echoed. A family that apparently didn't include me. The video ended. My gifts remained untouched. I replayed the video 3 times, capturing screenshots. Each image was more damning. The elaborate meal, the new clothes, the professionally decorated house, the champagne, the diamond pendant around my mother's neck. The physical symptoms of shock set in. My hands went cold and numb. My chest constricted. The room spun. I dropped the phone and focused on breathing. I ran to the bathroom and threw up the Christmas dinner I'd cooked for myself. Kneeling on the cold tile, I finally allowed the tears to come. Not gentle sadness, but harsh, body-racking sobs of pure, agonizing betrayal. 3 years of financial support. 3 years of sacrificing my savings. 3 years of believing I was essential to keeping my family afloat. And all of it, apparently, a lie. They hadn't canceled Christmas because they couldn't afford it. They had simply canceled Christmas with me. After the initial shock subsided, a cold, focused anger began to build. I went back to Instagram. Josh had posted earlier, "Best Christmas ever with the fam." The photo showed him, Mom, Dad, and Katie all in matching Christmas sweaters, beaming. Katie's stories documented the entire day, breakfast prep, gift opening. Annual Williams Christmas Magic, her caption read, as if nothing was different. My Aunt Susan's profile showed posts going back weeks. "Can't wait for our family Christmas," a December 10th post declared, right around the time Mom had called to cancel my Christmas. With shaking hands, I texted the screenshots to Amy. Her response was immediate. "What the actual hell? Call me now." I did. The moment I heard her voice, I broke down again. They lied to me. I sobbed. They told me Christmas was canceled, that they were just staying in, that money was too tight. And they're all there without me. "Oh my God, Brittany," Amy whispered. I don't even have words. I've been sending them money every month." I cried, the words pouring out between sobs. $2,000 to help with the mortgage with bills. Dad lost his job, they said they might lose the house. I've been helping them for 3 years, Amy. 3 years. And now they're buying diamond necklaces and throwing huge parties. I don't understand, I choked out, my voice small and broken. What did I do wrong? Why wouldn't they want me there? You didn't do anything wrong, Amy said, her voice firm. This is about them, not you. This is exploitation, Brittany. They've been taking advantage of you. The word hit me like a physical blow. Exploitation? Had my own family been using me? I need to look at something, I said suddenly. I'll call you back. I hung up and opened my banking app. There it was, the recurring monthly transfer to their joint account. $2,000. On the 1st of every month. For the past 36 months. $72,000 total. I scrolled through my text history with my father. Every month, like clockwork, a thank you. This helps so much, princess. Don't know what we'd do without you. Just until things turn around. I searched my email for receipts of additional help, car repairs, medical bills, property taxes. Thousands more. Money I could have saved for my own future, spent believing I was keeping them stable. The betrayal cut deeper with each revelation. This wasn't a one-time exclusion. This was a pattern of deception, designed to keep me sending money while keeping me at a distance. I called Amy back. I need to see how long this has been happening, I said, my voice eerily calm now. The tears had stopped, replaced by cold, focused anger. What are you going to do? She asked. I'm going to find out the truth, I replied. All of it. Over the next few hours, Amy stayed on the phone as I investigated. The more I uncovered, the more extensive the betrayal appeared. I checked their Facebook profiles. Dad's revealed numerous gatherings I'd known nothing about over the past year. Summer barbecues, a lavish Thanksgiving dinner, even a vacation to San Diego in October. They told me they couldn't afford a vacation this year. I told Amy, my voice rising with indignation. I offered to take them somewhere for their anniversary, but Mom said traveling was too expensive right now. While you were working overtime to send them money, Amy added, disgust evident in her tone. Mom's profile yielded even more damning evidence. Photos of shopping trips showcasing expensive purchases, check-ins at upscale restaurants, a post about their new entertainment system from just 2 months ago, complete with a picture of a massive flat-screen TV that must have cost at least $2,000. $2,000. The exact amount I sent them monthly. Amy, I whispered, the realization hitting me like a physical blow. I think I've been funding their lifestyle, not their necessities. I suspected something was off, Amy admitted quietly. Remember when I visited you last year? Your mom was wearing a designer watch, but they were still accepting your money for emergencies. I did remember. I'd seen the watch, but dismissed it, assuming it was a gift or a knockoff. I hadn't wanted to believe my parents would spend frivolously while claiming hardship. Why didn't you say something? I asked, not accusingly, but genuinely curious. You were so convinced they needed your help, Amy replied gently. You spoke about it with such pride, being able to support them. I didn't have proof, just a feeling. I didn't want to hurt you without being certain. The conversation made me reflect on other warning signs I'd missed. The new car Dad started driving last year, supposedly a great deal. The kitchen renovation Mom had casually described as minor updates, which photos now showed was a complete, high-end remodel. I went back to Instagram, scrolling further back through Jackson's profile. There, from 6 months ago, was a post that made my blood run cold. Another fantastic Williams family reunion. So great having everyone together. The photo showed my entire extended family gathered at a lakeside cabin. Everyone. Except me. They've been excluding me from family gatherings for at least 6 months, I told Amy, my voice breaking again. Probably longer. But why, Amy? The question I couldn't answer. You've done nothing but support them. You're successful, generous, kind. What possible reason could they have for cutting you out? I had no explanation that made sense. I had always been the responsible one, the achiever, the child they bragged about. Or so I thought. I need to check something else, I said suddenly. Let me call you back. I hung up and immediately opened my email, searching for recent conversations with Katie. We discussed her visiting me in Seattle for spring break, me offering to pay for her flight. Her response now seemed telling, not sure if I can get away from family obligations that week. Maybe another time. Family obligations. The phrase took on a chilling new meaning. I searched for emails from Josh. 3 invitations to visit Seattle in the past year, all declined for vague reasons. Work commitments, schedule conflicts, not a good time right now. Never a suggestion of an alternative date. My family hadn't just excluded me from this Christmas. They had been systematically cutting me out of their lives while continuing to accept my financial support. I called Amy back. I'm looking at my financial statements from the past 3 years, I told her. After the monthly transfers and the extra emergency help, I've given them nearly $80,000. Jesus Christ, Amy breathed. That's a down payment on a house. That's a huge chunk of retirement savings. Meanwhile, I continued, pulling up property tax records online. There's no indication they were ever in danger of losing their house. Mortgage payments have been made consistently. No liens, no penalties, nothing to suggest financial distress. They lied about the fundamental reason you were sending money, Amy stated flatly. That's not just taking advantage, Brittany. That's fraud. The word hung between us, harsh but accurate. My own parents had defrauded me, their daughter, of tens of thousands of dollars, while systematically excluding me from family life. I kept making excuses for why I couldn't visit more often, I realized aloud. Work was too busy. Seattle weather made travel unpredictable. But they never invited me home, Amy. Not once in the last year did they actually ask me to visit. Because they didn't want you to see how they were living, Amy concluded. You might have noticed the disconnect between their claimed financial hardship and their actual lifestyle. I continued piecing together the timeline of deception, a knot of anger and hurt tightening in my chest. Every discovery added to the betrayal. Every realization made it clearer. This hadn't been a misunderstanding. This was calculated, ongoing exploitation by the people I trusted most. through social media posts and conversations with extended family members over the years, I created a rough outline of gatherings I'd been excluded from: Easter, 4th of July, Labor Day weekend at a rental cabin, Thanksgiving, and now Christmas. 5 major family events in 1 year, all deliberately hidden from me. The worst part, I told Amy as midnight approached, is that I genuinely believed I was helping them survive a difficult time. I cut back on my own expenses. I put minimum payments on my student loans instead of paying extra. I delayed starting a retirement account. Also, I could help them keep their home and maintain some dignity after Dad lost his job. While they were taking luxury vacations and buying diamond necklaces, Amy finished, no longer bothering to hide her outrage. Why? I asked again, the question circling back. Why would they do this to me? Some people take advantage wherever they can, Amy said softly. Even from those they should protect most. It's not about you, Brittany. It's about who they are. As Christmas Day came to a close, I sat surrounded by screenshots and financial statements. The evidence of my family's betrayal lay bare before me. The pain was evolving, transforming from the sharp shock of discovery to a deeper, more resolved understanding of what needed to happen next. Amy, I said finally, my voice steady despite the tear tracks on my face, I need to make some changes. I'm with you, she replied instantly. Whatever you decide to do, I'm in your corner. As I prepared for bed that night, my phone chimed. It was from my father, the first contact from my family all day. My heart raced. Would there be an explanation? An apology? Something to make sense of the inexplicable cruelty? Instead, the message read, "Hope you had a nice Christmas, princess. Quick question. Can you help with the mortgage payment on Monday? Bit short this month. The usual $2,000 would be great. Thanks in advance." I stared at the message, a cold clarity washing over me. After everything I had seen today, after the elaborate celebration they had hosted while telling me Christmas was canceled, my father's only communication was another request for money. In that moment, something shifted permanently inside me. The last lingering doubt about what I needed to do vanished. I didn't reply to the text. Not yet. First, I needed a plan. I spent the next 3 days in a state of focused determination, ignoring all attempts at communication from my family. My father's initial text was followed by several more. "Princess, did you get my message about the mortgage? We're counting on that transfer going through Monday. Is everything okay? You usually respond right away." My mother texted too. "Sweetie, Dad says you haven't confirmed the money transfer. Is everything all right? We need to pay the mortgage." Even my siblings, who had been silent on Christmas, suddenly found time to check in. "Hey sis, hope your Christmas wasn't too lonely," wrote Josh. "Parents seem worried about reaching you." Katie's message was similar. "Mom's freaking out that you're not responding. Everything okay?" I read each message with detached interest, noting the concern was entirely focused on the money, not on my well-being after spending Christmas alone. Not one message mentioned the family gathering. Not one acknowledged the lie. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I consulted with 2 important people. First, a financial advisor at my bank. I brought the documentation of all transfers. "Were these loans or gifts?" she asked. They were presented as emergency assistance for my parents, who were in danger of losing their home, I explained. "But I've recently discovered they were never in financial distress." The advisor nodded. "Unfortunately, without written loan agreements, these would legally be considered gifts. However, we can absolutely stop any automatic transfers and secure your accounts going forward." We canceled the recurring transfers scheduled for Monday. Changed passwords, security questions, set up alerts for unusual withdrawals. My money was now secure. Next, I video called Amy, my emotional bedrock. "I'm ready to respond," I told her. "I've secured my finances. Now, I need to establish boundaries." "Are you sure you're ready?" Amy asked gently. "It's okay to take more time." "I'm ready," I confirmed. "If I wait any longer, they'll just find another excuse for why they need money. The cycle needs to end now." Amy nodded. "I'm proud of you, Britt. Whatever happens, remember this is about protecting yourself, not punishing them, even if they deserve it." With my finances secured and my resolve strengthened, I finally responded to my father's text on the evening of December 28th, 3 days after Christmas. The message I'd received that morning had been more urgent. Brittany, we need to know if the money is coming tomorrow. The mortgage payment is due. My reply was simple, but impactful. Ask the family you chose. Within minutes, my phone exploded. First, a call from Dad, which I declined. Then Mom, then Josh. All unanswered. Text messages flooded in. Dad, what do you mean by that? Mom, Brittany, what's wrong? We need that money for the house. Josh, sis, parents are freaking out. Call them. Katie, what did you say to Dad? He's really upset. I remained silent, watching the panic unfold. It was telling that their concern centered entirely around the money, not around understanding what might be wrong or why I'd sent such a cryptic message. Finally, after an hour of ignored calls and texts, I sent a group message to my immediate family. I attached several of the screenshots, images of the Christmas gathering, the expensive gifts, the family invitations. My message read, I saw everything. I know Christmas wasn't canceled. I know it wasn't a quiet day at home. I know everyone was there except me. I've contributed over $80,000 to this family over 3 years, believing you needed help to survive. That ends today. All automatic payments have been canceled. The response was immediate chaos. My phone rang continuously for the next hour. I turned it to silent. A strange calm settled over me. For the first time in years, I felt in control of my relationship with my family. When I finally checked my messages before bed, I found dozens of texts, ranging from defensive to apologetic to outright manipulative. My mother had sent, "You're completely misunderstanding. We didn't think you could make it home with your busy job. We were protecting you from feeling obligated to travel." My father wrote, "This is a huge overreaction to a simple misunderstanding. We need that money for the mortgage, princess. The family depends on you." Josh tried a different approach. "Look, nobody meant to hurt your feelings, but cutting off financial support hurts everyone. Think about what you're doing." Katie was the only one who showed a hint of genuine remorse. "I'm really sorry, Brittany. I should have told you about the gathering. I just went along with what Mom and Dad said. I didn't respond to any of these messages. Instead, I drafted emails to my landlord, utility companies, and other regular expenses, explaining that payments from my account might be attempted by unauthorized individuals and should be declined without verbal confirmation from me. I couldn't put it past them. The next morning, I had a voicemail from my mother that revealed more than she likely intended. "Brittany, you need to stop this tantrum immediately." Her voice was tight with anger rather than concern. "Your father and I have supported you your entire life, and this is how you repay us? By abandoning your family over a silly Christmas party? We have the mortgage payment due, the property taxes coming up, and we just put a deposit down on a Caribbean cruise for February. We can't afford all this without your help. Call me back immediately." A cruise. They had booked a cruise while telling me they couldn't afford Christmas. The final, undeniable piece of confirmation. Instead of calling my mother back, I made an appointment with a therapist specializing in family trauma. I knew I would need professional support to process the magnitude of this betrayal and to maintain the boundaries I was establishing. That afternoon, I received a call from an unexpected source, my father's sister, Aunt Sandra. Unlike the rest of the family, she'd always been somewhat of an outsider, often missing from gatherings or attending only briefly. I'd always felt a kinship with her. "Brittany," she said, "I heard what happened. Your cousin Jackson told me you saw his Christmas video and that you weren't invited. I want you to know I had no idea they told you Christmas was canceled." Her words held a ring of truth that had been absent from my parents' explanations. "I've been sending them money for years, Aunt Sandra," I confessed. "They told me they were about to lose the house after Dad lost his job." There was a long pause. "Your father didn't lose his job 3 years ago, Brittany. He took early retirement with a pension package. They've never been in danger of losing the house." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Not just manipulation of the truth, but an outright fabrication of the very premise that had led me to provide financial support in the first place. Why would they lie about something so fundamental? I asked, though I already suspected the answer. Your parents have always lived beyond their means, Aunt Sandra explained gently. Your success became their solution. They've been bragging to the family about their clever arrangement with you, your generosity funding their lifestyle while they maintain control over the family dynamic by keeping you at a distance so you can't see how they're using your money. And everyone just went along with this? I asked, incredulous that not a single family member had reached out to warn me. Most people didn't know the extent of it, she admitted. I only found out recently when your father got drunk at Thanksgiving and boasted about how they had trained you to send money without question. It made me sick, but I didn't have your contact information to warn you. Her honesty, painful as it was, provided the external validation I desperately needed. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was deliberate exploitation by my parents, enabled by the silence of family members who either didn't know the full truth or chose not to interfere. Thank you for telling me, I said sincerely. It helps to know I'm not crazy for feeling betrayed. You're not crazy, Aunt Sandra assured me. And you're not alone. I've often been the family outcast myself for questioning your parents' behavior over the years. If you need someone who understands, I'm here. Her support strengthened my resolve. After our call, I composed a formal email to my parents, copying my siblings. After discovering the extent of the deception regarding family finances and being deliberately excluded from family gatherings while continuing to provide financial support, I am terminating all financial assistance effective immediately. Any future communication should acknowledge the truth of what has occurred, rather than continuing the pattern of manipulation. I will be taking time to reassess our relationship and what form it may take going forward, if any. The email was met with a barrage of responses. My mother's outrage, after all we've done for you, my father's attempt at financial threats, you'll regret this when tax season comes. You've been claiming some of our expenses, my brother's sudden concern for my mental health. You're not thinking clearly, sis. Maybe you should talk to someone. I forwarded these responses to my therapist. Her validation helped me stand firm as the pressure from my family intensified over the following days. 1 week after Christmas, my father sent a text that showed he still hadn't grasped the severity of the situation. Look, we're sorry if your feelings were hurt about Christmas, but we really need the January mortgage payment. Can you put aside this disagreement until we figure things out financially? My response was brief. The mortgage is your responsibility. My bank has been instructed to decline any attempted withdrawals from your accounts. It was the last direct communication I had with my father for months. As January began, I felt a strange mixture of grief and liberation. The family I thought I had was gone, revealed to be an illusion maintained as long as I provided financial benefit. But with that painful truth came freedom from exploitation and the opportunity to rebuild my life on honest foundations. The first month after cutting financial ties was surprisingly peaceful. After the initial flood of calls and messages, there was radio silence from my parents and brother. Only Katie sent an occasional text, usually just to check if I was still mad. I responded politely but maintained my distance, explaining that this wasn't about anger, but about fundamental trust and respect. I'm not mad, Katie, I wrote. I'm protecting myself from further exploitation. There is a difference. As February approached, I began hearing updates through Aunt Sandra, who had become an unexpected ally. Your parents are experiencing the natural consequences of losing their daughter ATM, she told me during one of our weekly calls. They missed the January mortgage payment. Your father's been asking other family members for loans. Are people giving them money? I asked, concerned that someone else might be manipulated. No, she said with a hint of satisfaction. Your courage in standing up to them exposed their pattern. Nobody wants to be the next Britney. While I took no pleasure in my parents' financial struggles, there was a certain justice in them finally facing the reality of their own choices. For too long, they had lived beyond their means with my unwitting support. Now, they would need to adjust. In my own life, I began experiencing the benefits of reclaiming my finances. For the first time in 3 years, I had an extra $2,000 each month to allocate toward my future. I increased my retirement contributions, started building an emergency fund, and even researched first-time home buyer programs. It's amazing how much more secure I feel financially, I told Amy. I hadn't realized how much stress I was carrying, always worrying about their next crisis. That's because there was always a next crisis, Amy pointed out. By design. She was right. Looking back, there had always been some urgent need just after I'd recovered from the previous expense: a broken water heater, car repairs, medical bills. Each crisis carefully timed to maximize my sense of obligation while preventing me from questioning the pattern. February brought another update from Aunt Sandra. My parents had canceled their cruise, unable to make the final payment without my contribution. This news came with a screenshot of a social media post from my mother lamenting that they had to cancel due to unexpected family issues. The subtle attempt to blame me might have hurt me months earlier, but now I recognized it as another manipulation tactic and let it go. Through weekly therapy sessions, I began to understand the dysfunctional dynamics that had allowed this situation to develop. I learned about financial abuse, typically discussed in romantic relationships, but equally applicable here. I explored my need for approval and tendency to overfunction as the responsible one. Most importantly, I began to recognize that I deserved relationships based on mutual respect, not exploitation. Your generosity isn't the problem, my therapist assured me. Your boundaries were. But you're fixing that now, and that's tremendous growth. By March, I had established new traditions and connections that began filling the void left by family estrangement. I joined a hiking group, accepted dinner invitations from coworkers I'd previously declined, and even started dating again after a 2-year hiatus. I met a kind environmental engineer named David, who valued honest communication above all else. I've been so focused on proving my worth through sacrifice, I told him on our 3rd date, having shared a simplified version of my family situation. I forgot that relationships should add to your life, not drain it. Healthy love multiplies resources, he agreed. It doesn't deplete them. As spring approached, I received the first communication from my family that wasn't centered around money or manipulation. It came from my brother Josh, a handwritten letter that arrived at my apartment in early April. I've been thinking a lot about Christmas and everything that happened after, he wrote. At first, I was angry with you for cutting off Mom and Dad financially, but the more I've watched them scramble and blame everyone but themselves, the more I've realized you might have been right all along. They told us you couldn't come for Christmas because you were too busy with work and didn't want to be bothered with family stuff. We believed them because it was easier than questioning. I'm sorry for my part in hurting you. I should have reached out directly instead of accepting their version of reality. The letter continued with details of how my parents' financial situation had deteriorated. They had downsized to a smaller car. They were considering selling the house and moving to a condo. They had started arguing constantly about money, each blaming the other for spending habits that could no longer be sustained without my subsidies. I don't tell you this to make you feel guilty, Josh clarified. You have nothing to feel guilty about. I tell you so you know that your decision forced some necessary changes. Maybe in time they'll learn from this. Maybe not. Either way, I'd like to have a relationship with my sister again on healthier terms. I cried after reading his letter, not from pain, but from the validation it provided. Then I called him, our first real conversation in nearly 4 months. I never wanted to hurt anyone, I told him. I just couldn't keep sacrificing myself for people who didn't even want me around. I know that now, he said quietly. And for what it's worth, I did want you around. I just didn't stand up to Mom and Dad when I should have. It wasn't complete healing, but it was a start. A small bridge being rebuilt between siblings who had been manipulated into distance by parents with ulterior motives. Katie followed with her own olive branch a few weeks later, a text message admitting she had known Christmas wasn't really canceled. I was selfish, she confessed. I went along with it because I didn't want to rock the boat. You deserved better from your little sister. These gestures from my siblings were meaningful steps, but I maintained firmer boundaries. I agreed to monthly video calls with each of them, separate from any contact with our parents. I made it clear that I would not discuss my financial situation or decisions with them, nor would I entertain requests to resume supporting our parents. My relationship with Mom and Dad will develop on its own timeline, if at all, I explained to Katie. I'm not asking you to take sides, but I am asking you to respect my boundaries. As for my parents, their approach continued to reveal their true priorities. In May, after nearly 5 months of minimal contact, my father sent an email with the subject line, "Possible compromise." The message read, "Your mother and I are willing to put the Christmas misunderstanding behind us. If you could consider resuming financial support at a reduced level, perhaps $1,000 monthly instead of two. This would be tremendously helpful as we transition to our new budget. In exchange, we promise more transparent communication about family gatherings going forward." The offer contained no apology, no acknowledgement of the deliberate deception, and no recognition of the harm caused. It was purely transactional, treating our relationship as a business negotiation rather than a family bond in need of healing. I didn't respond. My mother tried a different approach, sending a Mother's Day card with a lengthy handwritten note expressing how much she missed her little girl and how families should stick together through misunderstandings. Again, no genuine acknowledgement of wrongdoing, just an attempt to minimize the betrayal as a simple miscommunication while appealing to family loyalty. I sent a polite thank you text for the card, but did not engage with the manipulation tactics embedded in her message. By summer, a full 6 months after the Christmas revelation, I had established a new normal that prioritized my well-being. My finances had never been healthier. I had put a down payment on a small condo in a neighborhood I loved. My relationship with David had deepened into something truly supportive and reciprocal. My friendships, especially with Amy, had flourished as I devoted more energy to people who genuinely valued my presence. Most importantly, I had developed a stronger sense of self-worth that wasn't tied to being needed or being the responsible provider. I learned that true generosity comes from abundance, not obligation, and that healthy relationships involve mutual giving rather than one-sided sacrifice. When Christmas approached again the following year, I felt a twinge of sadness for the family relationships I had lost, but absolutely no regret for the boundaries I had established. I created new traditions with chosen family, hosting a dinner for friends who couldn't travel home and volunteering at a local shelter. On Christmas morning, the joy I found in these connections was authentic, in a way my family relationships had not been for years. I did eventually reconnect with my parents, but on dramatically different terms. After nearly 18 months of limited contact, they reached out with what seemed to be genuine remorse, prompted in part by family therapy they had reluctantly begun at Aunt Sandra's insistence. Our relationship now is cautious but cordial. I visit occasionally, but I maintain clear financial boundaries: no loans, no gifts of money, no discussions of their financial challenges. They have adjusted to their actual income level, selling the large family home and adopting a more modest lifestyle. The most valuable lesson from this painful chapter wasn't about money at all. It was about recognizing that family should be defined by mutual care, respect, and honesty, not by DNA or obligation. It was about learning that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for others is to stop enabling harmful patterns, even when that choice brings short-term pain. And it was about discovering that my worth was never tied to what I could provide or sacrifice, but to who I am as a person, worthy of authentic connection. The Christmas that was canceled turned out to be the greatest gift I ever received. Not a celebration of family, but a revelation of truth that allowed me to reclaim my life and rebuild it on foundations of genuine love and respect. Sometimes, the family we choose is more important than the family we're born into.